Hi there, my name is Ryan. I'm a multilingual learner specialist out of Bellingham, Washington. And in this video, I hope to show you a few ways that we can use Colleague AI to support our Tier 2 students, right? These are those students who fully belong in the classroom, but might just need a little bit of extra support to meet that grade level standard. In the first few minutes of this video, I'll overview using existing materials from the Colleague AI content library to create targeted standards-based interventions for students below grade level. And then I want to show you how, as a teacher, I can build a custom interactive chatbot that's designed to support these specific prerequisites needed to access this content. So in this case, I'll search the content library to find the illustrative math lesson that fits my scope and sequence, which we can see here. This is divide whole numbers by decimals. So, okay, great. We can see at the top of this template that there is our grade level standard. I'll go to the chat function on the right-hand side, and I'll simply tell the AI that I need help building tier 2 supports for this lesson addressing this standard. And I'll paste this into the chat. In the same prompt, I'll ask it for the prerequisite standards that would support this lesson. And I ask which would be most appropriate for the student's iReady diagnostic that I'll upload. I really like to monitor the AI's thought process, as I can see that it recognized the standards and it understands my goal for building a bridge between grade levels, which are specifically tailored to those scores that we uploaded earlier. And from this prompt, it provides a strong list of important prior knowledge and the standards that accompany it. Now, I know my students and I know what they can do. And so I'm looking through these suggestions and I'm seeing that some of these skills definitely need more emphasis than others. And there are a couple ways that I can go from here. I can go back to the content library and simply search these prerequisite standards and find the illustrative math lesson, or I can just keep working within this chat. Since the AI knows I need to build a bridge between these grade level standards, I'll just keep working here. So I go back to the chat and I ask it to help me build practice and application materials that will support these students. I'll copy and paste the prerequisite standards that I need to target, and I'll ask it to make me a worksheet for each of them. Now, an important piece of this prompt, since these are tier 2 interventions, I need worksheets that will follow the same pedagogical flow, like narrative and the launch and the activity, because all of these students will be engaging in this learning simultaneously within this classroom. And if you have multilingual learner students, you could always ask it to scaffold these worksheets to accommodate them. And it does. Like, this is amazing. It builds me 3 worksheets, each one specifically targeting the prerequisite standards. And these come out as AI generated images. And although Colleague AI leverages the best image generators available, sometimes there are mistakes. Like in this case, the numerical fractions don't match the shaded grids, but no big deal. I can simply just go back to the chat and ask for those specific adjustments, and we can see perfect. Now we have fractions that match the grids. Furthermore, we see that this worksheet follows the same pedagogical flow. There's a narrative, there's a launch activity, etc. But ultimately, I have some resources and a lesson design that supports each student launching into their respective practice, meeting their own individual level of understanding. As a specialist, I personally value the importance of inclusive, research-based pedagogy, and I can see quality measures behind the content in the curriculum that I'm using here by clicking on the quality measures in the sidebar. And so far, we've made some really accessible handouts, but I can also click the Generate Interactive tool, which automatically populates the prompt field with this template from our illustrative math lesson, and it generates an online interactive that students can use for this grade level content. But check this out. I can also go back to the chat and I could ask it to write me a template that follows the same pedagogical flow, warm up, a launch, activity, etc. But now for one of the prerequisite standards, right? Like maybe the one for decimal notation for fractions. And I'll even upload that worksheet that we made earlier, and it does. It makes a really coherent template, and I can take this to the Generate Interactive tool, and I can target these skills too. And this Generate Interactive is fully customizable. I can edit the language, like I can change grade 4 to level 4 so students don't feel bad. And I can use the chat to make structural edits. like changing the color scheme in this table. After students finish this, I'll automatically be provided with some rich data on their performance, which we should talk about. But first, let me show you the classroom feature where I can go into the teaching aid and I can build that custom chatbot targeting literally whichever prerequisite skill I build it for. I simply write a prompt. I'll drop in the standard that we're targeting. I'll give it some other requirements such that it's supporting students who are testing below grade level. And I'll upload that decimal notation for fractions worksheet that we made earlier. I'll give it a greeting and I'll click save. And so this is what the student's view looks like. You can see that the greeting we made just pops up and the student simply has dialogue with the chatbot around this worksheet. It's pulling the specific language from the worksheet and it's asking the students questions about it. And the student can respond and ask for help. And maybe the worksheet is like on the student's desk in front of them and they're going back and forth, leveraging the tool like a study partner, or maybe they're just working through the chatbot. Like, check this out. When I respond to the chatbot in Spanish, it easily switched to Spanish and helped me move through the content in that language, which is really, really exciting. But even more exciting is that as a teacher, I get to actually go in and see how they're interacting with the chat. I can see their chat history and I can generate a summary of their chat. Look at how the summary of the student chatting in Spanish is generated in English for me, which is so cool. I could even generate a summary for the entire teaching aid to see how students are interacting with this. I can identify some larger systematic gaps in their learning. For example, it suggests that I work on building metacognitive awareness, suggesting explicit instruction on how students can articulate their confusion. And as a specialist who supports teachers and meeting the needs of multilingual learner students, I personally love this recommendation. So anyway, hopefully you guys can see how we can use colleague AI to meet the needs of every single learner in our classrooms. We don't have to pull them out of classes. We can help them learn alongside the general learning community. And since we were intentional about building a parallel lesson flow, there are bridges that students can cross and they can extend their thinking into this grade level content whenever they're ready. We've seen a few potential workflows and colleague AI is super flexible and adaptive. There's seriously so many other ways that I could have approached this. And as a teacher, I just need to play around with this and find what works for me. If you want to know more about my AI learning journey as a teacher, or if you want to see some examples around how teachers in my building out here in Bellingham, Washington are using AI, don't hesitate to reach out. I'd love to connect.